Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
25 minutes on to 11 o'clock here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You're locked on to WFM 99.9, the Clean Fresh Sound, and this is your It's Your Turn program. Remember, It's Your Turn is an interactive program, so the numbers to call are 9997 if you're calling from a local landline, 532 9997 if you're calling from a digital cell phone, or you can call us, send us a message on WhatsApp at 9997. The program is being hosted by Mr. Cecil Ryan. Good morning to you, Cecil.
Good morning to you, Karen, and good morning to all our followers on the various platforms. We want to issue a warning that the broadcast and Facebook in particular may not be stable, but bear with us, and we're here. And once you're there and you're persistent, we will get things going. So good morning to all of you. And I want to say special morning on behalf of my colleagues and friend, really, Lansford Weeks and Philbert P. John. I'm soloing this morning. Lansford has some other engagement, but he might be on later on during the broadcast. But also, I want to say on behalf of Philbert, he's still under the weather, he's fighting it. And I hope he's doing well this morning. I'm not sure if he's listening to the program, but wherever you are, Pigeon, thumbs up and hang in there. So good morning, whether you're listening on the WEFM Isiot WEFM platform, really, Star FM, Garfany Radio. We welcome you very warmly to our program, and we appreciate the fact that you've chosen to be with us today on the very popular and actually the premier talk show program in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Issue at Hand. We had a good program last week. As a matter of fact, a lot of people contacted me to say how good the program was. So I want to express appreciation and acknowledgement for your own appreciation and the goodwill that you continue to express and show towards Issue at Hand and WEFM. WEFM, as you know, is the most enlightening radio station in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, always discussing issues that are pertinent to our development, very relevant to today's situation. So we want to thank you for WEFM, the clean, fresh sound. We've had a wonderful week, and on Friday, family, friends, and colleagues and comrades of Renwick gathered at the Methodist Church Hall to basically recognize his contribution and to express regrets and sorrow on his passing, but we also express solidarity with his legacy, his rich legacy of massive contribution to the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Continues. So we must, in his own honor, on his origin, we must continue that struggle. It's a struggle that never ends. He recognized that, and that's why he did what he did, his work. And we now must continue to recognize and follow in his footsteps. Because the struggle is not a short struggle. It's a long one. It's been going on since before his time, my time, your time, before the time of our parents, grandparents, and so on and so forth. So we have an obligation particular time, this particular instance, if only in love for the work and Renwick himself that he has, his sacrifice that he has made. Yeah, so we are on a very interesting path. And I see up on the off the bat, our friend and colleague, Comrade Bongo Shaka is wishing Happy Father's Day. So I want to echo Bongo Shaka's wishing Happy Father's Day to those who are listening to us and all those who are not listening to us as well. To the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, those fathers. Happy Father's Day to you all. There are one or two mentions I want to make. First of all, I want to big up all those youngsters who have received their results and good results for the CPEA exams. The results are out. And I want to give commendation to the teachers, the students, the schools, the parents, and all those who have had anything to do with the examination. I have not seen the details of the results, but whatever they are, I'm sure all the students did their best. Some of the results were better than others, but they all did their best. And we want to give them all a shout up and ask them to continue to keep at it. That itself is part of the struggle we're talking about. You have to keep at it and know that the struggle continues. I want to especially recognize a relative of mine, Faith Grant, the sight impaired Faith, and she did wonderfully well in the exam. Her mother called me to say that she placed 19th for girls and 43rd, I think, overall. So she did extremely well. Faith, as those who may know of her, she attended or attends the Fair Hall Government School, and she has always been excellent in whatever she puts her head to do. Whatever it is, she's good. And she did wonderfully well in the CPEA exams. And I was told that she ran out of time for the math section of it, and had she finished, she would have placed much, much higher. But that is the way to go for our youngsters and the continuing education revolution. It has been for how many decades? It has been. Some people want to deny it, but it has been. And it's providing opportunity to a number of our youngsters across the country, from Fancy to Chateau Belair, if you like, Fituse, and down to Campbell in Union Island. Opportunities are being provided and have been created for our youngsters. So happy Father's Day to all, but also I want to single out those fathers who have contributed significantly to the education of their youngsters and to enable them to have done well in this version of the CPEA. And of course, as I said, the struggle continues. Well, Lansford will not be with us this morning, as I indicated. He may call in, but we will wait to see what happens then. But I want to start off as usual with before I go on to the usual regional Caribbean Connection news from Win Calendar, I want to greet some people who are loyalists in terms of the program. People like Ms. Harold, good morning to you. And I hope you're doing well this morning. Our brother way up in Overland, Brother Bristol, I hope you're feeling well this morning. And Brother Mason out in Layu, good morning to you and welcome to the program. A good friend of ours and a good friend of the program, Brother Boy, Winston Boy. I met him on Friday at the occasion of the Renwick's funeral service. So we touched base. He knew who I am, but I didn't know who he is. But we touched flesh, so to say, shook hands and so on. So it was good to meet with him and discuss with him. And then all the other folks who we normally reach out to. Good morning to you, Kojo, and we hope you're doing well. All the folks in between, can't call all the names this morning, but you know that we appreciate you. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the fact that you follow our program religiously. So thank you very much, and we look forward to you being part of the program today. All right, so let me go on to play our weekly Caribbean Connection.
Caribbean Connection News. Thanks for joining us on One Calendar, and we begin our coverage this week in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Police on Friday detained 24-year-old activist Alicia Phillips, who's behind the 19 Bullets 19 protest movement, a series of protests calling for justice in the January 20th police-involved shooting, which left 31-year-old Joshua Samaru dead, and the subsequent laying of charges, including manslaughter against his 25-year-old common-law wife, Kaya Seeley, who was severely injured during the operation. Phillips' detention has sparked criticism from trade union leaders and politicians who questioned the circumstances surrounding the incident. Phillips was participating in Labor Day activities in Faisalabad in southwestern Trinidad when just after 1 p.m., she was surrounded by heavily armed riot police and placed in a marked police jeep. Earlier in the day, Phillips addressed supporters at Avocat Junction during what she described as the movement's 19th and final protest campaign. Her speech linked the struggle for workers' rights with calls for justice, transparency, and accountability. She also opined that citizens have a democratic duty to demand answers from public institutions.
Demanding accountability is not extremism. Seeking truth is not an attack on the state. It is the duty of every citizen in a democracy. Today, on Labor Day, we must remember that workers did not receive rights because government voluntarily handed them over. Workers obtain rights because ordinary people demand dignity, fairness, transparency, and accountability.
Police have said that Phillips' detention remains under active investigation and that any decision on charges will be made after inquiries are completed. Following her detention at the Faisalabad police station, she fell ill and had to be taken to the Safaria District Health Facility. David Abdullah, the leader of the Movement for Social Justice, who was present at the protest organized by Phillips, told reporters that prior to her participation in the Labor Day activities, he had given her an assurance that her presence should not be any problem. But he said he later received a call indicating that the police had detained her.
The police were saying that because they're not a trade union, they're not supposed to be down there, which is nonsense. Because anybody could be part of this demonstration. It's June 19th, and the trade union movement has always welcomed people to be part of the demonstration. They were very peaceful, and there was absolutely no reason to detain.
Michael Anaset, Natuke's General Secretary, who witnessed the arrest of Alicia Phillips, is calling on the Prime Minister and government ministers at the Labor Day March to intervene for release. Addressing workers on Labor Day, Mr. Anaset admitted that the incident had left him shaken. Judging from what he saw, Natuke's General Secretary felt the police acted unreasonably, even pushing his youngest daughter aside in the melee. Michael Anaset said it was clear that Phillips did nothing wrong and described the incident as disrespectful. News out of Kingstown, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has taken significant steps towards transforming its public sector through digital innovation as government agencies, public servants, and senior officials
our services, but also ensure that all voices are heard and included in the decision-making processes that affect their lives and our lives. Our ministry, that's the Ministry of the Public Service, is proud to be a part of this exciting transformation.
Senator the Honorable Laverne King, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Digital Transformation, and Information, described the transition to digital government as a step in the continued development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Innovation, participation, and inclusion are not ideals to be admired from a podium. They are the daily test of whether a fisherman in Union Island, a farmer in Mespo or in North Windward, or a small business owner in Kingstown can get what they need from their government without unnecessary delay, without traveling for hours, and without having to explain themselves at 5 different desks. And I know that has happened to many of us. In fact, one of the things that we joke about is double dipping even in the social welfare part of it, because you'll find people going one place here, one place there, and instead what we need to have is an integrated system.
News out of Roseau, Dominica. Renewable energy remains a major area of cooperation between Dominica and New Zealand. New Zealand's newly accredited High Commissioner to Dominica, Her Excellency Linda Charlotte Tooney, says the partnership has helped advance geothermal exploration and position the country for the next stage of development.
We have been working in the renewable energy sector with Dominica. We have progressed geothermal exploration in the north of the country, and in the current phase of our renewable energy project are providing technical assistance that is helping Dominica to attract financial partners as it moves towards an exploratory drilling campaign. New Zealand is pleased to be supporting the development of sustainable renewable energy here. New Zealand is also engaged with Dominica in climate smart agriculture. We have funded a project through CARICOM in which Dominica is included that centres on providing shade houses and cool stores and associated training to improve post-harvest handling and production to marketing of agricultural goods. This project particularly targets women and youth in agriculture. New Zealand also has a direct climate smart agriculture initiative under which we work with Dominica and other countries in the region.
President Her Excellency Sylvanie Burton says that since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries, the partnership has continued to grow in areas which contribute directly to the advancement and well-being of the people of both nations.
I am pleased to acknowledge the valuable assistance and cooperation extended by the Government of New Zealand, particularly in the areas of renewable energy, climate resilience, agriculture, disaster risk management, education, and sustainable development.
News out of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI. Political hopeful and businessman Mark Vanterpool has suggested that the BVI could one day generate significant revenue by developing a transshipment port, arguing that the territory's strategic location in the Caribbean gives it a potential advantage in global shipping. Vanterpool said ports represent a major economic opportunity for the territory and could become an important source of government revenue if properly developed. He explained that modern shipping relies heavily on transshipment, a process where large cargo vessels unload thousands of containers at a central hub before those containers are redistributed to smaller ships serving various destinations across the Caribbean, North America, Central America, and South America. According to Vanderpool, transshipment ports earn substantial revenue from handling and transferring cargo. He pointed to existing facilities in Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and Panama as examples of successful regional hubs. This is a roundup of news from across the Caribbean, produced by Win Calendar for Caribbean Connection News. Our next stop is Bridgetown, Barbados. Sir Charles Emile Straker, one of Barbados' greatest cultural sons, died on Friday, June the 19th, at the age of 90. Sir Charles, who was knighted in 2019, published his autobiography in 2023 titled My Island and Me. Barbados Ambassador to the United States of America and the Organization of American States, His Excellency Victor Fernandes, paid tribute to his friend of several years. Ambassador Fernandes describes Sir Charles as a national treasure, as he fondly recalled being entrusted with conducting the last interview with him.
I remember Emile Straker and the Merry Men playing to record crowds at international cities as true marketing ambassadors for Barbados. He wrote hundreds of songs, not just for the Merry Men, but for up-and-coming artists too as well, and influenced many subsequent Bajan bands. His REC studios at Searles Plantation was one of the places where so much Barbadian music was created. Emile Straker and the Merry Men were fixtures at the Pepperpot nightclub. Later, he and his wife Joyce would create the Plantation Garden Theater. Sir Emile Straker was a gentleman, always smiling. Actually, I can never remember any occasion when I saw him angry at anyone or anything. A caring, loving man, a true Barbadian icon, and a treasure to Barbados.
Sir Emile's death follows that of Robin Hunt, the tenor guitarist, who died on August 24th, 2015. Chris Gibbs, the bass player and one of four original members who in 2003 became the first person from a Caribbean country to swim the English Channel, died at the age of 80 on June 17th, 2025. Other members of the group were Stephen Fields, guitarist, Willie Kerr, guitarist, and Peter Roy, drummer. News out of St. George's, Grenada. Mr. Jude Bartholomew, president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, has expressed deep concern over the continued delays in the payments of wages and benefits owed to teachers across the country. The GUT president is questioning why teachers are repeatedly being forced to wait for payments. He described the process in the Ministry of Education as far too slow and plagued by constant excuses.
The responsibility, the whole process is just too slow, and it wonders if really and truly the excuses over and over, all the ministries are involved and such. But what is the process and the mechanisms, the structures and things are in place you have to put those things in place to ensure that the teachers get pay on time.
Mr. Bartholomew said he has observed a pattern where information related to teachers is held in the ministry and processed at the last minute, resulting in unnecessary delays and frustration for educators. The president of the Grenada Union of Teachers warned that Grenada's teachers are prepared to take industrial action. He further accused the ministry of placing obstacles in the way of benefits which teachers are entitled to receive. He referenced those who pursued further studies to enhance their qualifications. The union revealed that 104 teachers who qualified for master's degree allowances have yet to receive those payments. The Grenada Union of Teachers says it remains committed to advocating on behalf of educators and urges the relevant authorities to address the outstanding issues as a matter of urgency. From Kingston, Jamaica, the Jamaica Civil Servants Association is putting its members on guard for a showdown with the government if it fails to settle outstanding salary and other issues. The Jamaica Civil Servants Association President, Mrs. Clark Griffiths, gave the alert when addressing an award ceremony for JCSA members in Manchester this week.
We have been 14 months outstanding in terms of having the government settle on our claim. So I'm asking that we get ourselves ready for a showdown between the Civil Service Association and the government of Jamaica. The fight continues, and we will definitely triumph.
The association president stressed the importance of recognizing and honoring public servants for the critical work they do for the country. And finally, this story out of Hamilton, Bermuda. The main opposition won Bermuda Alliance says Bermudians deserve clear answers and the right to have their voices heard through a referendum before any final decision is taken on the island seeking full membership of the Caribbean Community Grouping. Dwayne Robinson, the Shadow Minister of Home and Community Affairs, says this is not about rejecting the Caribbean. It is well known that many Bermudian families, including his own, share cultural, sporting, historic, and community ties across the region. He added that these ties matter and they should be respected, nurtured, taught about in our schools, and strengthened. But he stressed that cultural connection is not the same as full membership of CARICOM. The question before Bermuda is practical. What does it cost? How will the government navigate the current geopolitical climate within the Caribbean region? What new benefits would Bermudians receive that they do not already have as an associate member? Robinson added that the OBA believes Bermuda's current associate membership is the most suitable for them, and it allows the British Overseas Territory to maintain regional relationships while protecting their economic, constitutional, immigration, and labor realities. That is where I leave you this week. For Caribbean Connection News, I am Win Callan.
All right, so we thank Win, as usual, for that wonderful Caribbean Connection broadcast. Basically, as we have been saying, as we always say, it's the connection news across the Caribbean, from Jamaica, from Bermuda in this case, all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago, of course, including St. Vincent. I want to now invite some, if you wish to react to any item that you've heard in the broadcast, I invite you to call in, send us a message, and say your piece on the news that you've heard. I think it's always good to have us all going beyond the news to give your own perspective on things. And somebody's saying here, imagine the BVI is talking about developing transshipment port, and we have already developed one. Our government doesn't know what to do with it. And I presume the person is talking about the present government. He didn't say that, but given that the port, the new port, the new Kingston port was constructed during the life of the previous government, I think he's perhaps referring to the present one. So interesting observation. Any other aspect of the news, or somebody may wish to elaborate on this particular point that was raised by this person here? Still waiting for some reactions. If you have any, be happy to. And I noticed that some persons are sending us photos. I'd rather not accept those photos. I'll have to open them, and they may present a problem for the system here. So please don't send those videos and so on. No, I won't open them. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Cecil. Happy Father's Day.
Thanks, and same to you and all our listeners. Yes.
Yeah, our listeners whose daddies and fathers. Anyhow, in terms of the port, I think initially when I heard our former Prime Minister talk about the new port, I thought it transshipment port also. I thought that was part of the plan to have containers deposit there and they could move to the smaller Caribbean islands, because I think that was why they make that amount of space. I'm up for correction, but I think that was one of the major plans.
Well, I myself had mentioned as one of the more than a possibility, was as one of the ideas that the former government had in mind to do.
Because they said that most of the containers used to go to Jamaica, and then it was harder for them to get it from Jamaica to the lower part of the Caribbean. So that's why St. Vincent was going to be the ideal spot for the containers to be deposit there. And like Grenada, St. Lucia, and probably even Barbados might have been picking up containers from St. Vincent. So, I mean, the Bermuda, what's it, Bermuda, right? It's a
BVI.
The honors, BVI.
Yes.
That's the higher part, but the lower part will still have problem because it's still, BVI is still a good distance away from St. Vincent and St. Lucia and Brits.
But Coach, I think what the person who shared the message was saying, that imagine that BVI, and I could quote unquote little BVI, are thinking, well, at least one politician is thinking that they could develop this port that could be a transshipment point for the rest of the region and beyond, perhaps.
Yeah.
They're thinking that, but the person is saying in the WhatsApp that imagine they're only now thinking, but the previous government actually built the port for that purpose. One of the purposes is for that. So I presume what the person is saying is advanced, is kind of visionary thinking, visionary action on the part of the previous government. I think that's what the person is saying. Maybe the person could call to clarify.
That's what I got from the person is we just have it. We could implement it right now if you want to, because if we have a physical port already that could do what BVI is trying to do. BVI is planning. We have the port that we could just implement those things.
Well, they're not really planning. The politician was thinking of. Thinking.
Planning, it's in the head. Let me just say
it's in the head.
It's not.
But Coach, the ours is on the ground. Or in fact, if you like in the Sierra. Yes.
We got it. We got it. It's right there. We could touch it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and all they have to do is implement that now. Implement that, you probably didn't have to take on that understanding of for the grenadines work, because if you implement that, you probably make enough money from the port to do the tourist port.
The cruise ship terminal. Well, perhaps, but at least perhaps. But there were other plans to do with that part, the older port, and that the Grenadines thing. The former government. I mean, those are facts. Those are facts. The former government had plans to develop the other parts.
What I'm saying,
but the point is, Okojo, you can't link the terminal, the MOU for the cruise ship terminal with the present cargo port. The cargo port stands by itself, and I think that's what the person's saying. The cargo port is a cargo port.
The point I was trying to make, I was saying, if you implement the container transshipment point, the amount of containers that you collect, the amount of money you collect from doing that project alone might have helped you to put money into the cruise ship port.
Okay, I understand you. I follow you now.
You understand what I'm saying?
I follow you.
So you didn't have to go and get no contract from nobody
because you would have been making enough money from the container to, you know, to put in there. Because, you know, so sometimes you have to figure out how one hand could wash another hand, you know. A lot of times we just look at one hand and say, oh, that one hand can't do nothing. But if you put two hands together, you remember Black Messenger had sing a song? Two heads is better than one.
Oh, okay.
Two heads is better than one. A lot of people should listen to that song sometimes.
Well, there are many songs that a lot of us should listen to, including one that I have one lined up to play later on.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But I just want to say though, before you go, yeah. I think the person who sent the message was basically crediting the idea of a container port or transshipment port for the BVI, you know, and we need to credit that kind of thinking. Certainly, I think that's what the person said also. Yeah. But also recognize that they're just thinking, or he is just thinking. We have it here in reality already.
And I'll see you next week.
Oh, you're heading this side of paradise. You're heading to paradise.
Cecil is carnival.
So you would be. Are you going to be with the same mass tent like last time?
Yeah. Oh, that's my tent.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll message you. I'll message you after sometime in the week. Anyway, touch base with you.
All right.
All right then. Take care.
Later.
Good to hear from you. Bye bye.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. The BVI is talking. We gone well. At least this country went beyond talking. We have constructed the port and with the facilities to do to be a transshipment point. So I think that's the point. That's the point that the contributor by WhatsApp has mentioned. All right, you have another call? Go to it quickly. Good morning, friend and comrade. Morning.
Yeah, hey, look, greetings and blessed day to all, especially the fathers, the good and the bad one. Once your father, because we know the reality of life. And those who take care of their home properly, kudos to them, as we say. Blessing to you in particular, Cecil and Brother Weeks. I was waiting to hear from him there because I love to interact with him.
He's not online. He's not in right now. He's involved in another engagement. He may call in later or join us later, but right now he's involved with another engagement.
Right. And all the blessing and great health to Brother Pijan, you know, because he's part of my family. He's my son's great uncle, we say. So very concerned about him.
In addition to that, he's a wonderful human being, you know, and he has been a stalwart on the program, a stalwart in terms of making contribution to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So yes.
Yeah, so positively, I wish him the best. Yes, still, according to your Wayne calendar reports, first I must say condolence to Emil Shaker family in Barbados. Okay. I do think that Wayne do listen your program maybe on Sunday if he could, you know. So Wayne, if you listen, hail up the family for me. Because I know Emil years ago, Cecil.
Okay.
I went with the merry men and so forth, you know, especially on the big side of Barbados there, going down to the Bridgetown on both sides where the Haldy and Hilton used to be in those spots, you know. So I know him, yes, you know. So condolence with family. He made a great contribution towards Barbados and the Caribbean musically. Yeah, you can say that. And those days was fun and the kind of way they used to sing, you know. Yeah. So Cecil,
before you go on, I don't know if you're aware that there's a young, at the time he was a youngster then, but there's a guy from St. Vincent, in fact Lomans in particular, Lomans Winward. He was a keyboard player, And his last name was Anderson, and he did
Yes.
at a point in time he did some work with the Merrymen.
Right, collaboration. Yeah,
Yeah.
you right, man.
No,
You
he
have
was a member. He served as a member of their group.
Yeah, a Vinci man. I'm
Yeah, I
glad
can't
you
remember
remember
his
that.
first name, but his last name was Anderson.
Yeah, a slim virgin, very slim. Yeah, and tallish. Yeah. Yeah, Cecil. So on the question of geothermal, right? Coming out of Dominica. I'm wondering what will this government be doing pertaining to the geothermal?
Which government?
No, our government.
Our government here in St. Vincent, the geothermal, the geothermal project.
Yeah,
well, the previous government considered it to have been active, maybe still active. So your question is right. Go on.
Yeah, so because I remember interview, listen NBC radio. There was some brethren who's up front with the geothermal, the professional, and they were speaking about due to the depth they have gone and so on. There was a company. I heard former PM Gonsalve to comrade that spoke on it, that they were looking into the fact to still continue with it. So I don't know if we are taking it up. I'm asking them to look into it because something already started, money being involved. I don't know how much we had got, how much we owed, whatever the case will be. But money, to me, when developing things for people, enhance people's life, to me, is secondary. So anybody could get money whenever you could or how you could or wherever. You know, there's obtainable of monies.
But Bongo Shaka, as far as I recall, much, if not all of that money that went into that project was grant money.
Right.
The Bill Clinton Fund, I think, was part of that. But those persons who are listening who may have more correct information, detail, could share with us. But also, I want to say to you that I had listened to Prime Minister Friday when he addressed on behalf of the governors of the central bank, when he addressed that conference in the Bahamas, Nassau, the other day. He did highlight geothermal as an area of interest and an area. He mentioned Dominica and he mentioned St. Kitts. So
that's
So I like you, I'm hoping that they have not forgotten, or the government has not forgotten that there is an initiative in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that's worthy of further exploration. So you're correct.
Yeah, so I hope I don't think the way Dr. Fry that
It's ridiculous. Everybody throughout the country is complaining about this poor service. It's a question of bandwidth. And I mean, Flo needs to do better than this, man. Even the radio program this morning has been affected. And I know at home, same thing has been happening for weeks, if not months now, with my own service. And I know of a number of people, a number of Flo customers who have been complaining. And the matter is not being addressed. Flo needs to do better than this, man. I mean, the Williams brothers, they have invested in a radio station and invested, paying for a service. And you can't operate your radio station properly because the service that you've paid for aware of those figures. It's ridiculous for you not to be providing a proper service. Now, the program is being interrupted because of the poor service that you're providing. It's ridiculous. Bongo Shaka, you back?
Yeah, I'm forward. I come forward.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
You
I think. Yeah, you teach some Rastafari language.
This morning, yes.
Yeah, I think we have a problem with internet since yesterday.
No, we have a problem with not the internet. We have a problem with Flow.
With
Flow needs to improve their service, man. It's ridiculous. It's a bandwidth problem. It's a bandwidth problem, and they need to expand their bandwidth. Pay for it and buy it from whoever they're buying it from. Pay for it.
Okay, yes.
That's what it is. It's a business. It's a business they're running. It's a business they're running. People paying for that service because they're offering the service. People are willing to pay. People have been paying, including myself.
Because I have data for 2 years contract and I get problem. I can't watch something properly. Whole last night, I jumped till 2-3 o'clock and just shutting down, interrupting, and I don't like it. I always
well, it's not a question, Bongo Shaka, it's not a question that you don't like it. Nobody likes it. But the point is, it is not fair. It is not fair.
I keep saying the NTRs have to get more form on these people. You can't do that to citizens of a country and do as you like. And get rid of people in the technical areas and have less people work and depend on these scientific things or whatever, or technology and feel it.
No, don't make it complicated, Bongo Shaka. Yeah. It's not as complicated as that. It's simply a question of extending the bandwidth. That's all. Okay. All they have to do, pay a few more dollars and pay and get a broader bandwidth or whatever it is. That's all they have to do. Nothing to do with any technical kind of thing. It's a straight question of pay for the bandwidth so people can enjoy the service that they pay for.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I hope that people are listening and push this thing further. It's time enough. We can't go into another year with that same foolishness.
That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, more than
football
ridiculous.
Is going on, and people cannot enjoy and watch football properly. World Cup football. No, but I'm telling you, I know, I and other people. Actually, I know people who have already switched. By the way, I don't know if Flo knows that. People have already switched to the other provider.
But that's what's happening. That we eventually lose business because of your customers care. But maybe not too concerned. They're multi-billion-dollar business. So
multi-billion don't last forever, If you're going to be in it and you want to stay in business, you have to provide service and satisfaction to your customers.
Because the people that makes your business.
Exactly.
Right, just like in politics too, an election, the people that vote you in or out, so people is important. People must be always centered, we say foremost in almost everything you do in life, because humans that making decisions are humans that acting upon things, so we must be central in things. Yes, Cecil, going forward quickly there to where I was touching base. As I said, my last thought was I don't think Dr. Brian just saying in passing, but little by little, I hope they pick up on it, because as you said, we had got some free funding, and I know
grant funding from the Clinton Fund. Yeah.
No, there's a lot of you can still tap into and forward, and I don't think the Bill Clinton institution refused, in that they had to kick you off with it and you run into a few problems.
No, they didn't. They didn't click off anybody. Did you say that they built?
No. No, they will click back onto it because they have started it, and I said I don't think they will click off of it if you approach them. Because
we don't know what their arrangement could be. We don't know what they are and what are the possibilities. But I know the previous government had mentioned, and you may have heard it yourself, that is a Canadian outfit that that had expressed interest because they have a new technology that they were going to apply. So we hope that that the present government would look into that.
Yes, but Cecil, I show people ask the same question. You know, since coming up for years, and we youthful coming up, right? People are finding more oil, more gas, so and so, right? But yet still, you can never see the effect on your bills or I don't like what ordinary and
What I mean, those who are not involved in money making, like the capitalists, that's what I meant.
But as we know the hegemony of the world and based on the petrodollar, everything economy is structured with that. You have the war in the Strait of Hormuz going on. You have blocking, some you have open up blocking. And just using nice example, gasoline price today might be $3.50. Then you
no gasoline price is $16.92 or 16
no, I'm
something.
Talking United. Yeah, no, I
am talking, but I'm talking concretely about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is where we are, and this is what we're referencing. So gasoline, diesel price is 16 something, gasoline price is 16.92, something like that.
What beats me, Cecil, is that, okay, I will just get an example, United States, and in 2-3 days, Trump mentioned something, the oil price goes down, and you got a little percent drop at the pump. What beat me sometimes, these many settings, right? You have the same gasoline in the pumps at the area. No ship not bringing brand new gas. But yet say every time that changes, the price changes on gas. But yet say you have the same. That it beat me sometimes how system. But I know exactly how the world system is set. So it's amazing. But
so if you know, then you know. If you know the world systems.
I love something. The whole thing is joke, But I hope that we can see effect it so that we can see it in our pocket, eventually as time goes on.
I'm sorry to remind you that just this past week, we had a news release which was a reminder from VINLEC that for the next 2 months we can expect increases in the fuel surcharge level. You heard that?
Yeah, well, I saying last week you have a high ESP2 because I was going to tie it in and to ask you if you heard a speech from the CEO, and I don't buy the speech about the fuel costs and money.
But why you don't buy the speech?
No, I don't buy the utterance of Dr. Vaughan Lewis.
Why? Say why?
Because I know there's a profit being made because I can see it. You're seeing like increasing vehicles, they building new buildings, increasing this and that, whatever. So
hold on, Bongo Checker. You have to be correct here. I don't see VINLEC building any new building. Where are they building the new building?
No, building you. I'm not talking no percent no.
No, you're talking about the advice from CEO Dr. Lewis that you heard last week, and you're referencing that. But I don't see them like building new buildings.
Oh, so where do they make the profit then? If I'm telling you, I'm using, say, example, say $25 worth of current, but yet still my fuel charge is 30 or 37, whatever. Where's the profit coming from then? If it's not from the fuel charge, where's the profit come? That would tickle in my head. Where is the profit coming from? And institutions like VINLEC and Water not supposed to basically based on profit. Yeah, it's a business. You got to make a little money extra to run the affairs. But they're not solely dependent upon profit of your people, and you want to get rich like some company or private person, and you want to become a millionaire in 10 years, 5 years, whatever. So it's to enhance people like much better. I'm not seeing the effect at all.
So you're saying the surplus which they make with these public institutions, the surplus which they make should help to offset people's hard living. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, because it sometimes I see a poor person, the bill is just $80-something, but yet still it gone to over close to 200 because there's fuel costs. Why don't we just? How come when I was much younger we never had that? When like used to be functioning, they see them putting new pole, new wire, so that they're making a little money. Still could carry out the affairs of the company. So I can't buy that. I'm not buying that from Dr. Bond. It's a man I highly respect, but I'm not buying that utterance.
But let me remind you, in all fairness to Dr. Lewis, he is only implementing the policies of the board. The board policies over the oversight agency is the government. And the board makes the policies, and Dr. Lewis was only he heads the implementation of those policies. So he was just telling the consumers what they can expect.
Right. So I'm not say pushing any blame. I don't blame people and matter like that. I know he can't function on his own, as you said, from board and so on. Because you can't go about that or whatever. Even you the
Some people may take issue with that, but nonetheless,
no.
some of the women.
Since I don't have that opportunity right now, I'm here alone, alone. So
all right.
I'm telling one. I know
All right, Bongo Shaka, thanks for the conversation. We gotta go. Thanks for the conversation.
I'm looking for a brother week soon time.
All right, okay. All right. Thanks for calling.
But nice interact with you. That's what your
Same.
fathers did today. Yeah.
Coming from you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
One love to everyone. Yes,
Okay then.
this
Bye-bye.
is-
Bye.
All right.
Okay. Okay. All right. So those are some, Bongo Shaka and Kojo, Brother Kojo those are some of the reactions to Wayne's broadcast earlier. I intended to read an article that seems to have come from a press conference done by Minister Israel Bruce, Minister of Agriculture, on his return from, seems like some trip he made, but somehow I can't locate it on my phone. If anybody knows the reference to that article, it was really like an interview he did on possibilities for agriculture. He mentioned a few entities that have been proposals from a few entities that have been placed. These proposals have been placed in a deal window, a deal maker window, something like that, or a deal list. If anyone knows how to access that article easily, can you share it with me? I can't find mine. So in the meantime, I want to read the column Eye of the Needle in the Searchlight newspaper, which has been taken over by Professor Justin Robinson, Pro Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal, UWI 5 Islands Campus in Antigua, Barbuda. That Eye of the Needle column was the one that Renwick did. And now that Renwick is no longer with us, it seems as though Professor Robinson has now taken over to do that column, and which fittingly so, actually. So it's in the Searchlight newspaper for Friday, June 19, and it's on page 9. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read all of it, but I find it interesting. And it has to do with, it's captioned, "Who keeps the rent?" And it has to do with the memorandum of understanding that was signed recently between the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Global Port Holdings. So I want to read it. From the beginning, it says, "The country may have spent the last week arguing the wrong question. The Prime Minister signs a memorandum of understanding with Global Port Holdings. This newspaper asks whether it is investment or a disguised sale. The talk shows hardened into their usual camps, but sale or not sale, unquote. Should be that should be sale or not a sale, unquote, is a question about a piece of paper. Let me read it again. But, quote, sale or not a sale, quote, unquote, is a question about a piece of paper. The question our history should have trained us to ask first is simpler and harder for the next 30 years. And the question is, who keeps the rent? Begin with what was actually signed, because the confidence on all sides this week has run well ahead of the facts. An MOU is not a concession. It is an agreement to negotiate exclusively, in this case, toward a contract that does not yet exist. The terms that will decide whether this is a good arrangement or a bad one are not yet written, far less published. So the honest reply to this every assured claim that this week is the same. We are arguing about a contract none of us has seen or read. Now to the heart of it, Mr. Kootman told us generously that we are the landlord and he is merely a tenant. It was offered as a reassurance, but it should not be received as one. Ask any landlord whose tenant collects all the rent, sets the rules of the house, keeps the shop on the ground floor, and pays the owner a fixed sum to stay quiet for 30 years. Ask him what his ownership is actually worth. Title is the consolidation of a platform economy. I think something's left out there. Platform economy is forever offered while the surplus sails out of the harbor. We keep the deed, the value leaves on the tide. We have watched this film before, in cane and in bananas, and we know how it ends. Lloyd Best spent a career trying to teach us the difference between owning a thing and controlling what it owns. The cruise port is that lesson, arriving once again, more by sea. Consider the economics plainly, because they are not complicated. The port lost money in four of the last 5 years. Its single profitable year, 2023, returned EC $266,000 against some EC $15 million spent operating it over the period. Against this record, GPH, which is Global Port Holdings, offers EC $225 million to EC $250 in phased investment. EC $75 million of it in the first phase, and the phase that should make every borrower's a prick up. No new government debt. But capital is never free, and it is never charity. $250 million put to work at even a modest return must throw off something on the order of EC $13 million a year to justify itself to the people who provide it. That money does not descend from the clouds. It is drawn from passenger charges, from port dues, from the retail floor, maybe from the excursion that once belonged to a Vincentian taximan and tour guide. The question is not whether GPH will profit. It must, and it will, behaving exactly as capital is built to have. The question is, who stands on the other side of that $13 million year after year, and whether the contract we sign leaves any meaningful share of it on the island. Then there is the 30%, the stake to be offered to ordinary Vincentians through a special purpose vehicle and held up this week as ownership for the common man. Welcome it by read it cold. 30% is a minority. It does not set the tariff, time, the capital spending, or declare the dividend. The holder of the other 70 does all of these, or does all three. The Bahamas paraded as the proof, some 3,600 citizens, we are told, who recovered their money. Perhaps they did, but at what entry price or what borrowing? And which Bahamians, the man at the bus stop or the man on the top, the man already stated in the table? We are entitled to those answers before we buy, not after. Here is the deeper habit I want to name, because it is older than this deal and will outlast it. There is an instinct in these islands to treat the arrival of a large foreign check as itself the development. It is not. It is a financing decision, and financing decisions are won or lost entirely in the fine print, in who collects the dues, who caps the tariff, what is owed to us if the operator under-delivers, in which court a dispute is to be heard, and in what condition the port returns to our hands in 2056. None of this lives in an MOU. All of it is negotiable now, while the ink is still wet on nothing, which is precisely why the agreement, when it is drafted, must be laid before this nation rather than sprung upon it, as this understanding was absent from any manifesto announced first and explained afterward. Let me be plain about where I stand, or I am not misheard. I do not write to oppose the modernization of the cruise port. It is overdue, and a specialist operator may well be the sensible route to it. I write because the lesson of our history is not that strange. I write because the lesson of our history is not that stranger are wicked, that we sign away the rent and console ourselves with the deed. No, no one is coming to read the contract on our behalf. No one is coming to negotiate its terms in our interests. A landlord who will not read his own lease is a landlord in name only. So publish the agreement. Let us see the revenue share, the tariff terms and guarantees, the quote, the day of revulsion. Then and only then will we know what we have become owners of this port, or merely the address pointed on the someone else invoice. Yeah, well, it's a piece we need to go back and read. I will go back and read it myself. I read it for the first time this morning, but we need to go back and read it. It poses so many questions, and Professor Robinson, as usual, is such a deep intellect. he forces us to consider other matters in terms of the MOU for the port. And I would urge us to all go back and read it. I tried to read it for the sake of others, but I will definitely go back and reread it myself because it's deep and we need to understand what it said. It's deep, but it's simple. Simply saying, before we take as gospel and before we criticize the MOU that was signed between Global Ports Holding and the government, we need to understand certain basic things, and certain basic questions need to be asked about it. So let's do so. Because when we hear from Minister Shallow himself, and I'm going to play a part of an interview, maybe all of it, that Minister Shallow had just this past week on one of the radio stations here. So I want to play it, and then we could come back and ask some questions, given what we've heard in the article by Professor Robinson.
I'm sure you've taken your children to the new look. The honors will join. All right, so we're talking.
So bear with me. I'm trying to get the beginning of this interview.
A lease agreement with Global Ports Holdings, and so the revenue that they're collecting, part of it is the head tax, and I guess the rest is services provided to the boats coming in, along with the rental space inside the terminal.
Yeah.
Some people have said, again, myself included, that this seems like a done deal. And, you know, some people have suggested that maybe this deal was done before you got into office. Maybe they helped you with the elections, and this is payback. Some people would say.
Fortunately, we didn't need the help.
Well, maybe financially they helped you. Maybe financially they helped you.
Let me tell you reality, because one thing you guys know about me, I come and be very frank and open with you. So there was a previous discussion with the then dispensation, the former government, and for whatever reason they weren't able to, come to an agreement. I think what the owner clearly said to us is that they realized that there was an election and they don't get involved in politics, so they smartly opted out of discussions.
Okay.
And so they wait until after the elections, done.
Right.
And then immediately after the election, they reached out to me. They flew in, we met a couple of times, and then we had a series of discussions. Then we started the negotiations. Understanding, and we did our own background checks and so on. I went to Florida at different seminars to get a greater understanding of the cruise industry. And from realizing this, doing my due diligence in them, they are the largest cruise port operators in the world. Further,
that's interesting. Minister Shallow didn't have to go to Florida to find that out. All he had to do on the internet and type in the name. That's what most people have done, and he would have known that what the information is he providing us there with. Anyway, let's continue listening to
Prime Minister Dr. Friday went to Bahamas recently and got a closer insight and a great appreciation for the actual operations of Global Ports Holding, because they operate there, which it did a total transformation. And he was able to ask great questions that lent him and our fiscal advisor, Kevin Hope. And based on all those things come together, we were able to, what we believe, get the best agreement for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. One of the things that we are quite proud of with this agreement is this MOU, which will be finalized in terms of a contract very soon, is the fact that Vincentians will have 30% equity in the company. So what is going to happen? It's not just Global Ports Holding. they're going to come in and set up a company. And that company, Vincentions, will have the opportunity, right? Chris, you could invest in this if you want and have shares. You can have shares.
I want to go back to here to read again what Professor Robinson, who is a specialist in financing and he's trained economist and all of that. We know about him. What he had to say about this is what he had to say about the share thing. Then there is the 30%. The stake to be offered to ordinary Vincentian through a special purpose vehicle and held up this week as ownership for the common man. Welcome it, but read it cold. 30% is a minority. It does not set the tariff, time and capital spending, or declare the dividend. You hear that? The holder of the other 70% does all three. That's what Professor Robinson, that's how he responded to this. So I want to go on and further and listen to Minister Shadow.
In this company that is going to be registered locally, right? And 30%, up to 30%, right, are going to be owned. So what that means is even all the revenues generated there, the dividends, 30% of that coming back to Vincentians, which is unique. If you check St. Lucia's deal, if you check Antigua and Barbuda's deal, they don't have.
Well, that is not quite correct. And again, Professor Robinson speaks to it. 30% dividend is not coming back to Vincentian. That is not correct. Dividend is declared at the end of the financial year by the board of directors for the company. And where you have 70% majority shares by the foreign owners, they determine what the dividend is going to be. And it's exactly what Professor Robinson explained. So it is not correct to say that 30% dividend, whatever percentage is going back to Vincentian. That is not to be determined. That's not how it's done. It's the board of the company that determines how what level of dividend is going to go back to shareholders. And in this case, where you have Global Port Holdings, they have the majority share. They would have 70% of those in the company. So we folks need to just not mislead people. Anyway, let's go on.
But because of mainly our Prime Minister, who was, with great level of conviction in negotiation, said that, nope, we need Vincentians to be
a beneficiary,
to be owners, but we'll be beneficiaries regardless because they are going to improve our port and generate traffic and so on. But we want to have shares in it. We want to, in addition, we are the only country that we are going to have a member on the board, right, on the board to ensure that Vincentian's interest is always represented. We further carved out a special agreement because we then argue the point that there are tenants that exist at the port, right? We can't just go and displace them because we have a new company coming in. So what we did was
Sorry to cut it, but I need to go back to explain, as Lansford did last week. When you're a director on a company, you don't represent the body from which you came. You represent the company on which you sit as a director. You represent the interests of that company, not
what a global ports holding will do. If you double the traffic, they increase the revenue as well.
Right.
So we have looked at this agreement, this partnership, in a very comprehensive way to ensure that it is going to benefit Vincentians. And Chris, I'll tell you, and the truth is, and everyone could go back, because the good thing these days is that you could go online and pull up clips from our campaign. We campaign on this, I remember saying that we are going to bring investors to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you could go back to the clips when we were on the campaign. Dr. Friday said it as well, and our colleagues said it on the campaign. And what we're doing is staying true to our promises on the campaign trail, just like
some would argue
in other areas.
Some would argue that the transparency aspect of it was the argument, actually. The transparency aspect of it, that way there wasn't a consultation done with John Public, then telling the nation, well, look, this is what we're not going to do. This is how it's going to work out. And some would say, well, the transparency talk that you had before elections, you kind of shoot it in the foot by not coming out and saying, this is what's going to happen.
I strongly disagree. I would say, for start, significant majority of intentions vote the party because of that level of confidence, and they expect us to lead with these initiatives, right? And they trust that we are going to make decisions in their interest. And again, if you tell us, if we came to you before and said we are going to bring in investors in the country and we are following up with you, I could tell you majority of intentions are applauding us now and say, well, wow, this is another example of the New Democratic Party staying true to its promises.
But we could also say, though, by the same token.
Sorry, Luke, let me just answer, right? Also, you have to appreciate that when you're entering into these type of partnerships, right, you're not going to reveal to the public. There's some level of non-disclosure, confidentiality that takes place, right? And we will be doing our due diligence.
But that is not correct. That is not true. If you're entering into a partnership on behalf of the government, of the people, of St. Vincent, that you don't tell them what it is all about. And that has nothing to do with due diligence. That's a different matter. That's information withholding. Come on. And I want to go back and read the last paragraph. Professor Robinson's article in the Searchlight newspaper on page 9, it says, so publish the agreement. Let us see the revenue share, the tariff terms, the guarantees, the quote, the day of revision. Then and will we know what we have become owners of this port, or merely the address point on someone's invoice. That is not idle talk. Professor Robinson has been on boards for companies in Barbados, in Jamaica. I mean, he's speaking from experience, but most from knowledge, from practice. And when we hear the minister saying this thing, it hurts. It certainly hurts me. But anyway, let's continue with what he's saying. And I'm playing this thing mischief. I just want us to understand what is being done on our behalf, people of this country. So let's continue playing.
Behind the scene, we're in interact with people. I've spoken to the guys at port and other areas, other exports, tenants and so on, without them even knowing that they're offering advice for this particular partnership, right? And it's an ongoing process, because if this is a long-term partnership, then we expect to evolve and advance.
So that is consultation. That is what is considered consultation, talking to people without even telling them what it is, and they're not having any idea why you're talking with them. And that's consultation. Okay.
The relationship. So the decision isn't whether we are going to go with them or not. It is a no-brainer from our end that this partnership is going to benefit and impact St. Vincent and Grenadines positively. The other side.
So it's a done deal. the decision it has been, so therefore there's no need for any consultation. Essentially, that's what the minister is saying, that he interacted with some vendors and I guess taxi drivers, I'm not sure, without them knowing what it is he was, the particular issue on which he wrote. And then he comes and he makes a decision that, he makes an announcement, sorry. That's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. Because we were voted in by the government, and you have to take what we have done on your behalf on this issue. But people have to make their own decision and come to their own understanding of what is being said. So let's continue.
The other component now is how do we optimize this partnership? And this is where that consultation comes in, because we want the two operators to tell us, okay, how this partnership help you even more, right? Which site should we develop first in the country? And there's a series of consultations like that. Even the tenants at the cruise ship wharf, the boat, right? They will then be advising us and so on. And remember, I said there's still a second phase to come. That is going to be the main infrastructural development, right? So we'll consult with the people. So things like the Grenadines Wharf and so on, because we know that is critical. We don't want to displace people. We don't want to inconvenience people. And key to this partnership as well, that we said we do not want at any point to disrupt the operations at the port, at the cruise port, right? So
just before you go ahead, so some could argue that the now former government also warned that investors were going to come in and buy out the country. That was one of their campaign features, that NDP is going to sell out SVG to the highest bidder. Whether you agree with that, whether you disagree with that's one of the things that they had also stated. And secondly, is this agreement going to be fully transparent? Are the public companies be able to look at this full agreement, or is it going to be also hidden behind these non-disclosures that we've heard in the past?
Contracts, to my knowledge, are accessible. You can go to the registry and access contracts and agreements. Mm-hmm. And again, we have nothing to hide in this, especially the fact that we are taking this.
But would you publish it? Would you just put it where it make it easy for people to get it?
Well, the fact that we are making it public, so that Vincentians could access and get shares.
So they could see.
We have to make it public. Right. You have the, before you purchase any equity in something, then you must know what's the agreement.
So there's going to be a what do they call it, a prospective, so
precisely.
People could see the exact source of revenues, fees, etc.
And I think people. So.
Well, again, it's just to make something clear. It's not a government decision in the sense that once you have a company form, it has to be registered. SIPO is where you register companies. The registry is there, and you can go and look at SIPO. You cannot take it out, the document out, or you cannot photocopy any of the parts of the document, but you can go there to look at it. And it's not a favor. It's an obligation by the company to register, to have the document or the registration of the company registered. So it's really not a favor by this or that government. All right, let's continue.
Contrary to what you're saying, that the former government said, or the former leaders.
But they said it, huh? They did say it. They did warn us.
This is a 30 years. So we are not selling our. This is a 30 years. So just imagine you invest in 250 something million. And then after that, we own the entire thing still. We here, right? They're not walking with the port when they leave. It's a significant.
30 years is a long time, huh?
30 years for $255 million investment. Where are we going to find that money here to invest?
If I find.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to pause the recording and give people a chance to an observation and comment. Guided by the article that I read written by Professor Robinson. If you can recall any part of it, or if you have the newspaper, the Socialite newspaper for last Friday 9, the column is called Eye of the Needle, and it's entitled, the article is entitled, Who Keeps the Rent? And that's what Professor Robinson went through. So I paused the recording, the audio recording, to give people a chance to respond. If you don't respond, I'll continue. But you can respond to it by a WhatsApp or call yourself. 457-9997 is the number to call, and comment on it. What you've heard so far in that interaction between the folks at Hot FM and Minister Shallow in an interview last. Which explains why the figures are the way they are. And I'm surprised and disappointed that figures have been slighted by Minister Shallow in this particular exchange. Figures are the things that tell you if you're going this way or that way, or what you have to do, and so on and so forth. Figures mentioning figures is not a matter of convenience. It's a matter of describing reality and getting a sense of how you are going to change that reality, in which direction you have to go to change that reality. So let's listen again.
Develop a culture of dependency, right? Of people being comfortable in begging, right? Because, and it's not that they're comfortable now because it has become a norm.
Well, let me respond to that myself, because again, Dr. Shallow, question of begging, what is begging? When you have a country and you go out to raise revenue to develop the country, which is what the previous government had been doing, and people have been accusing the previous government of begging. So what happens when, for example, President Trump sends his armada to Venezuela, capture the leader, and capture the oil, and brag about personal things, which he brags about, or he sends his armada to the Middle East, to Iran and wherever else, and capture their resources. I wonder if that's what folks would want to St. Vincent to do, to attempt to do. Anyway, there's a call. I'll take it now. Greetings. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
I just listened to you there playing back something with Dr. Shallow.
It's an interview that he had with the folks at Hold on. It's not a thing I'm playing back by Dr. Shallow. It's an interview which he had.
Thank you very much.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Thank you.
I'm putting it in correct perspective, and if you don't wish to hear me, I'm not going to allow you to continue. I have to put it in correct perspective.
You don't want to hear what I have to say?
I want to hear what you have to say, but I want you to listen to all that I'm saying before I give you the chance. So I was saying.
I don't have a lot of credit, so don't be too long.
Oh, you're calling from a? Okay. Well, go ahead. I don't want to have you lose your or use up your credit. Go ahead.
Well, whatever phone you use is credit, you know.
Yes, you're correct. But go ahead. Go ahead. Make it point.
It seems to me pathetic that you see us seeming to be using so much energy in trying to rubbish what Dr. Shallow has said, you know, and to considering that, because what bounces at me is that you were involved in a significant way.
Let me come in a bit.
In our business over the last couple
Let
of
me
years.
come in a bit. Let me come in a bit and say to you. I want to make it clear to you.
I'm listening carefully.
Yeah. I'm making it clear to you that I have a right to respond to what I hear in the media. And not only that, I'm not rubbishing what Minister Shallow said. I'm merely... So I'm saying I'm not rubbishing what Minister Shallow said. I'm merely, for the purpose of correctness, mentioning, for example, he indicated or implied a while ago that figures are not important. I said, yes, figures are important. They tell the exact story.
It might have been in relation to a specific matter.
You're not allowing me to finish.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead.
If you interrupt me again, I'm going to have to cut you off. And I don't want to do that.
Don't be too anxious to cut me off, man. Hear what I have to say. Be mature enough. Be mature enough to hear what I have to say, man.
But you're not being mature to hear what I'm saying.
Go ahead. All right.
And that's all I'm asking for now. Let's have a mature conversation. But I was saying that you accuse me of rubbishing what Minister Shallow.
From my standpoint.
You accuse me. But I was also looking at what Dr. Shallow said in relation to the article that I read by Professor Robinson. That is not far from what Professor Robinson has said in the article.
So, well, if what you said is in harmony with what Professor Robinson said, maybe I might conclude also that Professor Robinson is rubbishing what Shallow said.
Well, he didn't comment on Minister Shallow's speech.
Read the article myself.
Oh, you didn't read it? You haven't read it?
I haven't read it yet.
Well, go and read it, and perhaps you should read it before you come back, and we could have a conversation.
But
you read it.
My point is still relevant.
Go and read the article and come back, and we'll have a conversation. All right?
Bearing in mind that you were a
player. You need to go and read the article and come back. All right? Sorry about that. Read the article and come back, and we'll have a conversation. You can't comment on what you haven't read. And the thing is not about me. It's not about me. It's about the interview and what Professor Robinson said in his article earlier. So I'll continue playing the interview.
They don't have any alternative in most cases, right? They don't want to beg. But it is so bad for them. People can't pay the utility bills. People can't send the kids to school. People can't afford medication when they're ill.
Mm-hmm.
That is how bad it is, right?
I agree.
So whereas we know that there's great need for investment in the cruise ship ports and other infrastructure, we have to prioritize because we can't afford for our people to continue in poverty for an extended period. So what we're saying is that if we could carve out agreements and partnerships like these that are not permanent, because as I said, this is 30 years, but we can get our attract investors in the country for that period, then excellent. It is really a proven formula for development of small states, developing states like ours. The alternative, as I said, is to do like what the former government did, go and borrow money and then make our country even poorer, right? So this is our approach, right? It has worked for other countries.
Well, actually, borrowing money is not making the country poorer. I beg to disagree very strongly with Minister Shallow. But in the first place, he referred to it earlier as begging, and now he's saying is borrowing money. That doesn't make the country poorer. Every country borrows. Every single country borrows. So in the Caribbean, a lot of the countries, the nature of the economy requires them to borrow. It's how you manage those funds which you have borrowed. So that I take issue with that for sure. And I don't know, other people may be listening and they may feel comfortable with what he has said, but I don't.
And I don't think we should limit ourselves. But
so
ultimately,
in your view, this gets us on the road to where we need to be quicker than the alternatives of maybe borrowing, and if we can even borrow.
This is an accelerated approach, right, to relieve our people of poverty, of dependency, getting people employed, getting people entrepreneurial opportunities, because that is what this partnership is about. And quite frankly, Luke, Jagger, Jeannie, and Chris, we have more coming, right? So be prepared to hear more announcements in the coming weeks.
We're going to sell the airport,
right?
We're going to sell the airport.
Weeks and months, I'm telling you, right? Because we are committed again. We are staying true.
We're selling the airport
to our promises. We're not selling the airport, right?
But leasing it.
Just like how we're not selling the cruise ship. You know, but no, it is important.
Is it important, right? Just to kind of wrap up this part. Is it important? Like if you could do over the last 4 months, would you have announced this differently?
In fact, I think we have done a remarkable job being in a position.
Politicians always
being in a position that we could announce it so soon. To get to an agreement after only 6 months.
I don't mean like that. I mean like in terms of your PR. Do you think it would have been better to go to the public and say, look, we think there may be an opportunity for us to develop our port rapidly, our cruise ship terminal rapidly, right? This is an option that may be on the table for us, and present it that way. Let the people kind of buy into that first before announcing that you have a deal. Would you have done that differently or not?
A memorandum of understanding. It's simply what you're saying there, Luke, right? So we are walking now towards finalizing that agreement.
Yeah, but it doesn't come across like that. It comes across like it's a done deal.
Maybe because of great PR. You understand what you think is, and because
great PR or bad PR?
And because to most Vincentians, this is a no-brainer. So they're saying, well, what? Just accelerate this, because there's no sober-minded person, right, who going to argue that this partnership will significantly benefit St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? Look, you know the biggest difference that I've observed between what is happening now and previously is a level of confidence in the current leadership and government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that investors from all across the globe, including Vincentians living abroad, wanting to invest here currently, right? That is something that I have observed that people have said openly, that they currently have confidence that they could invest in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is what we're about. We want to create that sort of platform that people could come, and we'll have our opportunity where we said no. And we have said no, We have said no to some who came and offering investment, to come in, but we have said no because we're doing our due diligence as well.
You don't think? Because I can remember when Sandals was first announced. And I heard all this. I heard very similar things to what you're saying.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, look, this is what Sandals are offering. This is what we have to give up. Right? And have that conversation with the public first. And let us buy into what you're stating to be fact. Right?
Right.
And let us like, as individuals, as a say, all right, yes, we understand the dilemmas, the choices that you're facing, and we kind of concur that maybe that is the right decision, and let's explore it. I don't feel you bothered with the buy-in process. I think you're assuming that we all buy into what you're saying. That it's a no-brainer.
Well, what
I've heard sandals was a no-brainer. I'm not so sure about that.
We are practical enough to know that not every single one is going to be on board with this decision. And some people, they will be convinced after they start seeing the returns. And that is fine. That is life. But look, we have to make responsible decisions in the interest of the people. Again, my perspective, my reality of going out to the constituency of North Leeward, going across the entire country, even the Grenadines, right? When we see people who been affected from burial and still in apartments, still don't have their homes, right? Still can't return anyway.
Outrageous.
That is the reality we face. When we hear people, genuinely can't afford to send the kids to school, right? Genuinely can't afford, basic medication. That is our reality. So do we delay an unnecessary process? Or do we make decisions and accelerate progress, growth, right? For the people that we know going to impact them in short term and short, medium term, right? And that is what we are faced with as a government. And again, we are making decisions in the interest of people. We're not talking in haste, right? We are going through the process. We are doing due diligence. But just mean we are walking fast. I mean, you're talking about an attorney general who is walking around the clock to go through these agreements, back and forth, tough negotiations in the interest of the people. So I think what we have here is a government that is grounded in principles to support the growth of incentives, right? And all our decisions are being made so that we could advance as a country, because we know by improving the port, it means that the numbers are going to improve, increase, the traffic is going to flow, the taxi man, the craft man, the woman who's selling, whether it is produce or art or whatever, right, in the communities, they are going to benefit. By extension, our economy is going to improve, and that is ultimately what we want.
Is there going to be a revisit of the contract or contracts to Sanders or whatever they have?
At this stage, I don't know how much review could be done to that contract, because it was a long-term contract. I'm sure the AG, very astute and professional. Any opportunity to explore that, she will.
Even the one signed just prior to the election?
Yeah, and we will sit down with Sanders. We have had a couple of meetings.
It's not like they've spent any money on it yet.
Yeah, we are committed to sitting down with them, and again, where possible, and we could then show that intentions have more favorable terms, then we'll explore that.
Yeah.
All right. That was Dr. Keisha O'Shallow.
All right, as was said by one of the persons interviewing Dr. Shaw, that was him. Those of you who didn't hear this interview before today, and those of you who have heard it before, you can call the number 457-9997 and let me allow you to unpack what you've heard. Particularly against what I read, it's a learning experience. We are exchanging ideas, and you say what you think about it, the MOU, and a number of things that Minister Shallow said in that interview, which you may find comfort with, or you may find discomfort with. So let's hear from you. 457-9997 is the number to call, and that would be the WhatsApp number or the straight line number. And it is not about me. It's really not about me. Not about me. Not at all. It's what you heard. I'm not part of governance. It's what you heard and what I read in terms of the column. So don't focus on me.
houses. So I want to find out if people are in shelters and so the fabricated houses that the ULP government, my Prime Minister, Dr. Alfie Gonzalez, bring to this country for help those that house get damaged by the flood or whatever it is. Why is it now that they're taking those fabricated houses? Because I got good proof about it that they're selling them now to people.
But hold on. What's the source of your proof that they're doing that? I haven't heard it, but I just want to be clear.
I have proof that they're selling them for 100 and something thousand. You understand? The same
But Lavon, I'm asking you, where's the source of that proof? What can
Mr. Ryan, if I could give you my number and you could call me and I would tell you and give you the proof. They are selling them. And it's not no if, not no doubt. They are selling them.
Well, I've heard other people making that statement, but we don't have the proof, so we can't really confirm.
I know, I understand, but I'm just telling you. So when he talking about he going around and see people in the shelters and so, the fabricated house came for them and not for sale. Okay, go on.
All right then. Okay. Well, Lavon has mentioned that story, but we have no way of confirming that on the program. But I've heard other people mentioning giving the same story. Whether that is so or not, we can't confirm on the program. Certainly not this morning. But we will try and get some information from the source that purportedly might be organizing these, whatever it is, the arrangement for these prefabricated structures. But until that time, we have to take it as it is, Somebody, a caller who is concerned, is raising the concern on the program, sharing it with us this morning. So the number to call is 457-9997. Based on what you've heard in the interview with Minister Shallow, you may wish to call and let's unpack what you've heard. There are certain statements that were made, some of which I pointed to earlier. I was being accused of debunking Minister Shallow's statements, but the point is that is what he said, statements that he has made. And you've heard it. He was being interviewed by the folks from Hot FM, and that's the source of this. Hot FM recording is the source of this audio clip this morning. All right, so 457-9997 is the number to call. In the meantime, until we hear from others who may wish to call, I just want to play this song by This Being Carnival Anyway by Princess Monique.
The answer. Placing our destiny in our hands. The commanding heights of our economy. Not belong to us to do what we will. We never imagined, nor could we foresee. Local heroes going for the kill. Their pockets been filled. Now the new colonizers are here to stay. They are corrupt politicians who ship we walk away. And when the government can't remain in control, We will never put ahead always people world. The boosting foreign economy at our own expense. Are they friends or enemies? These men of influence. So take a look at the trees that you plant at the back by your yard. Are we really pleased with the seeds we have sown? Corruption take a harvest. We are about to reap, and the fruit they're bearing are fully homegrown. They branded the island as their possession. Just a jewel in all England's crown. But we local folk had an obsession to stand and fight to turn things around. But one thing I thought we were no longer useful. Stop independence straight down we throw. The transfer of power was so peaceful. If just see we leaders how they close, while we money get told. Yes, the new colonizers are here to stay. They are corrupt politicians who ship we wealth away. I want to back up on the country men in control. We will never put ahead always be the world. The slamming doors in our faces with every underhand deal, destroying our moral basis with every pen that is steel. It's time we look at the trees that we plant at the top of our yard and tell me, are we really pleased with the season? Corruption take a harvest. We are about to reap, and the fruit they're bearing are fully grown. They exported the raw products from our country to keep their economy alive and would never transfer their technology for local establishments to supply. And so we shouted out from the rooftop, exploiters must never come here again. Now some politicians jamming we non-stop. But foreigners come they cannot explain, leaving we in pain. Yes, the new colonizers are here to stay. They are corrupt politicians who ship the wealth away. I want the vagabonds and scams to remain in control. We will never put ahead always be third world. Yes, skill is inflated contracts, but mega projects to show. Their specialty is then kickback while the INFO. You better look at the trees that you plant at the back of your yard and tell me, are we really pleased with the seeds we have sown? Corruption took a harvest. We are about to reap, and the fruit they're bearing are fully homegrown. of working in our country. I only hear explanation request. I have signed a working policy to do for us what we think is best. And if somehow they break that agreement, they will have to leave and give us a break. We must never give in to silent consent. Need to save our land for our children's sake. There's too much at stake. Yes, the new colonizers are here to stay. They are corrupt politicians who ship we wealth away. I want the vagabonds and scams remain in control. We will never put ahead, always see the world. They're stifling our potential with their hands in the cookie jar. Their actions are detrimental, and the nation would not reach far. You better look at the trees that you plant at the back of your yard and tell me, are we really pleased with the seeds we have sown? Corruption, bitter harvest. We are about to reap, and the fruit that bearing actually on God.
All right, so that was one by Princess Monique. A song a few years ago, actually, not a recent piece, but it's relevant always to what's happening in our country in terms of how are we dealing with the resources in our country in terms of moving towards creating a better life for our own people. Call it development, but we always have to be on top of that, making sure that those who are included as the underprivileged, that they find a way to live and live decently. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ryan.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, in regard to the minister,
Mm-hmm.
the Minister of Tourism.
Yeah, what he had to say in the interview. Yes.
Yes, well, 30 years. Remember that he said earlier that St. Lucia is 30 years ahead of us.
Yeah, I've heard
So
him saying that already, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess 30 is his mark, and I guess most of our natural resources here might be leased out for 30 years.
Well, actually, the 30 years, as mentioned in the MOU, most of the agreements, maybe I think it's
because I think mass tourism would destroy our very, very fragile ecotourism, industry that we have in the country here that is now growing. And mass tourism, as I see it, it will destroy our tourism totally. Okay, I'm living in Vermont. I'm living in the Bookman Valley.
Okay.
And we have the Vermont Nature Trail. We have Table Rock. We have Cornell. We have a number of different ecotourism sites here in our community. And in recent times, well, the nature trail is developed, but our other sites are not developed in regard to, infrastructure, proper roads, garbage disposal and so on. And it has been destroyed at this moment because even when locals, communally, some would take their garbage back, but the majority of persons would destroy the place. I would actually say destroy it because they would break bottles in some instances when they get drunk or high, and that would remain in the river. The garbage would be there. Some persons would bring the garbage back on the main road, but the garbage would be on the main road for months, weeks, months. And for us to get mass tourism and our tourism, and especially ecotourism, which is, very fragile, not fully developed, and even after burial, I don't think most of those sites have been restored, to the original position they were in.
But then isn't part of the MOU, doesn't it state that the leasee, Wall Port Holding, they will develop some of these sites? I don't know what that really means, but that's one of the things I'm hearing.
But mass tourism is that the carrying, I wonder if they did research to see the carrying capacity, of whether it's the nature trail or the botanic gardens or whatever. You just can't overnight, announce and going into mass tourism without having, a period of, research and study and so on and environmental.
But the point you made is correct. That is, have they checked, have they done research on the carrying capacity of these sites to move to mass tourism?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand the point you're making.
Overnight public just rushing into mass tourism.
But maybe in the details of the agreement, I don't know. I'm just posing the question that they may require of WPH to do the research and some kind of development. Come up with an idea as to how they're going to do it. I'm just posing this because we have not seen the details of the agreement.
Mr. Ryan, we already seen this government is a secret government. Only time the general public is aware of some of these things and discussion is when they come and announce and radio when the deal has been already, finalized. Mm-hmm. So we see this is a secret government in regard to negotiation and especially with our natural resource, whatever limited natural resource that we have. So we already seen that this government is dealing strictly in secrecy. And because the fact that they got 14-1 is that everything they go out and negotiate, that the people already decided on that. So as if in my belief that there's no more need for any more discussion, they discuss on behalf of the people. So that is my contribution.
Well, basically in that interview that I played earlier, Minister Charles basically said that because they have the mandate by virtue of their victory, 14-1. And he has said that in the interview, so maybe that's the approach. But we would hope that despite the size of the victory, we would hope that genuinely there be some consultation with residents and citizens. We would hope so. And it's up to citizens like yourself and other people who are listening to require and to request and to insist that there be consultations, especially on these very, as you said, fragile matters.
But because Mr. Ryan, I remember years ago when they were going about developing a ecotourism industry and all the different sites throughout the country. There were lots of discussion and so on with community groups, organizations, and I remember to that persons like yourself, Arthur Bob, Bentley Brown,
That's correct. That's correct.
We went places like Richmondville Academy and had weekend camp. Leo, in Leo they had camps that we would discuss these things in detail, do things like project writing and how we would go about even things like that is now in place, like user fees and other stuff like that. But for overnight, just announcing these things without actually knowing how some of these things run, as far as my part, I don't know how they're going and the people would accept some of these stuff.
Well, in addition to what you said about having about the camps that were organized, you would recall as well that there were many community-based consultations on these issues.
Yes.
And not only on St. Vincent, but they were held in Union, in Canaan, and Beckwith. They were held, yeah. So it's important to have these consultations to find out, to have people have a say in how they want to see things done. Well, we can only hope that the folks in the government are paying attention to some of the concerns which people are expressing and move to sort of, address them. But it's important. It's important for us to raise these concerns. People might want us to remain quiet, but no, we need to raise the concerns.
Remain quiet and these issues.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for calling us. All right. All right, so we have a few more minutes. You have to leave on time this week for sure. But aside, there's still a few more minutes if you want to call and respond to the interview that was held between Minister Shallow and the folks at Hot FM. That the interview that I played on the clip that I played on the program a while ago. It's still yes, a while ago. So if you wish, you can call us 457-9997 straight or WhatsApp. But if you don't call us in another few minutes, we'd have to tell you that we have to go. But that I want to refer people to that article in the Searchlight newspaper, page 9 of as I hope they did. Also, thanks to all the folks who called us. We appreciate your call. And of course, here at WEFM to enable this broadcast to happen is your hand. And of course, I want to say thanks to Karen, the very able technician, is always here to give support. So on their behalf and on mine, Cecil Ryan, have a wonderful day. Good afternoon.